Remix. 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 Remix.
What it do, niggas?
Yes, indeed. What's up, world? Welcome back to the Remix Morning Show right here on Black Liberation Media. Amber and Jared in the building. Like, share, subscribe. Put this in your socials. Invite others to join you for what is the best running
Morning
show in the history of all media. So greetings, everybody. Good to see you all. Peace, peace, peace. Welcome, welcome. Amber has already said this is about to be it's about to be the most she has ever spoken on this platform. So what did you say? Would you tell me?
You the most that I done talked this week. You're so dramatic.
She said, buckle up. So
yeah,
buckle up. Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum salam.
You're so dramatic.
So
I like the dramatic effect, though. I could tell that you have daughters.
I have daughters, and they tell me every day that it could have only been this way. I was born to be a girl dad.
I agree.
Apparently. So
everybody, fine. Welcome back to the Amber Show. I have been sick all week, so I told Jared that this is going to be the most that I talk this week because I haven't been talking to anybody because I've been unconscious with a fever. But I'm alive. I'm good now. I just had to get out of denial. Very glad
to see that.
You know when you're sick, but you're in denial that you're sick, and so you just keep kind of acting like you're not sick, but you're doing like little slight things to make sure you don't get sicker. And then once I accepted that I was sick, I just dropped down. It was over for everybody. I said, "Oh, I'm down and out."
Sometimes if I feel something coming on, I just try to slow down even more and go to sleep, and that often will take care of the little stuff. Glad you're feeling better.
Thank you, Brother Jamil. Do you have other siblings, Jared?
Do you know what? So only our late sister, may she rest in power. And I used to joke that I know of, but
you are like
I will say real quick, I saw real quick. I saw Jamil, and I'm forgetting his name, but a brother stopped me on campus on Wednesday, and said, "Are you Jamil's brother?" And I said, "I am." And he said, he wanted to extend his greetings from him and his brother, and I'm forgetting his name. But I said, but Brother Jamil has made a major impact in this world, and especially in Baltimore. And he survived a one-on-one in-person exchange with Kamal K. Franklin.
I know that's motherfucking right.
So what a pleasant surprise. He survived a grilling. Kamal had him one-on-one at the kitchen table and said, "I got some questions."
And he gave...
Now, what are you doing here?
What are you talking about? It's my show. It's a Remix Morning Show featuring Kamal Franklin. I don't understand. What do you mean? What am I doing?
Kamal's name is above the head, above the title.
It don't matter.
This is Kamal Franklin and the Remix Morning Show featuring Amber.
Yeah, the nigga said my name is in bold at the top.
It's like the Pips. You're like the Pips, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
And then at the end of the credits,
literally my Pips.
The last name before the post-credit scene is Jared.
And then all those extra, produced by
Grips, Best Boy,
produced by Amber, rated by Amber, written by Amber, starring Amber.
I don't know about all that.
It's obvious.
I don't know about that. Are y'all happy to see me? Because I
very happy.
I am very happy to see you.
I don't know what happened to Geechee. Didn't Geechee send you the link, Amber?
Yeah.
He's the one that sent you the link. So I thought he was ready to go.
I know he's got a conference today. Like he's like for CMB, he's been the main point person I think it's the Resist and Build conference, which I think I'm supposed to make 2 appearances at. But I don't remember the times. But once I remember those times, I'll be there.
They said come out on a Friday. Nice. I'm screaming.
Oh, hey,
please be warned that we're not serious on Friday. So don't be bringing that serious Black radical shit now. Laugh.
Part of this is going to be a test of my patience too, to see how long I can before me and Amber get into a fight of some kind.
You love fighting with me.
I do love fighting with you. Use the woman.
I am. For everybody who doesn't know, Kamal loves me. We have a great relationship.
We do.
Usually us arguing back and forth, it really improves my argumentative skills. Well, so Kamal, are you going to be on the live show when we do it at the conference?
Are we doing it live? Are you doing it live from the conference?
We literally talked about it on the phone. I said, Kamal, we do a live show. You said, oh, yeah, that's a great idea. Ear doctor.
That would be hot. Well, Ear Doc is supposed to be... Ear Doc is supposed to be filming the plenaries live as they happen on Friday morning, Saturday morning, and Sunday morning.
I prepared and I read the schedule, so I know that we can do the show.
I don't know. Yeah.
So you found the gap in the schedule for the Amber and Kamal show?
Well, it was going to be you, me, and Geechee. I figured Kamal would want to come.
Oh, all of us. Oh, I see. It was
going to be our normal Friday crew.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Literally just at the regular time we normally do it.
But with you all live from the... I get it. I see. I'm sorry.
It's a concept. It's a concept.
I'm slow. I'm very slow.
And unfortunately, Dr. Ball will not be there because
that is true. Be there?
Yeah. He's got family stuff.
Yeah, there's been a...
speaking for you. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good. It's been a slight, not severe, just a slight collapse on the schedule. Just a slight,
because you do have to pick up your kids and shit.
There's that, and then not every, and
it wouldn't be bad outside of these circles. I'm still going to promote it with your name on it and your picture.
I would be honored if that was somehow of value and not something that would inhibit. I feel like people would see it and be like, I'm definitely not going now.
Oh, no. Then I'll do a last minute excuse.
So this is not...
the family.
So this is not, just to be clear, like, this is not, I'm anti, this is not a boycott. This is, I cannot make it. So if I can at all be supportive and encourage others to be there, I'm definitely down for that. So, yeah. Sure.
I love how we all collectively call Kamal Camus. It's a great nickname.
I know people like to Camus it up. I'm not mad at Camus.
I like Kamal Mal best.
I used to the Mal.
It's cute. I can see a kid calling you Camus.
I used to get Mal or Chairman Mal, Chairman Kamal.
Chairman Mal.
Esteemed position movement circle.
Oh my God.
There's nothing satirical about it. They meant
when they're throwing the rose petals in front of you as you walk in.
And this is what happens when you get two light-skinned men on the screen. They start lying like a motherfucker. And I have to be here to set the record straight. Is that what it is? I'll tell you, that light-skinned power get together, you just start shooting up.
I will say, yesterday I did step out of my comfort zone and attempt my best Kamal impersonation. At at our higher education feeder rally component to the broader May Day efforts in Baltimore that took place yesterday. I was asked to give a couple of say a couple of words about higher ed and our particular fight in this labor movement thing.
You was yelling and shit.
No.
Now be yelling. You'd be like,
no.
Can I remove it?
No. That I said I did the best I could. I can't rise to. I can only rise but so high. But as a good organizer, I did adhere to what Kamal said. First of all, like a good organizer, they said you have 2 minutes. I stayed well within my 2 minutes. I didn't do the I'm gonna be here forever. So some might say that's not a good organizer. I think, I remember Kwame Ture used to have my clock in front of me. Yeah. But the other thing that I did, and I did actually think of Kamal at this point, was I was like, I'm not gonna go up there with my cell phone notes. I'm not going to stand up there with my cell phone and yeah.
In and out of each other.
I'm opposed.
The bourgeoisie Atlanta class.
I'm opposed to the cell phone lookers.
It is not. Oh wow, Yipper said I did well. That's
period.
I did post some of the footage that I took. Yes, that's funny. Now if Yipper says wow, that's amazing. I'm waiting for the next shoe to drop on the next chat. But I will say though, but I do want to encourage people to hear Kamau on this point. I noticed it maybe more than ever yesterday as I was waiting for my turn. There were a lot of younger folks, you know, and I remember, you know, early on, you got your note. I used to have my little notes, a little whatever. It doesn't work as well as people think. You may get all of your points in. You may not forget anything like I did, but the vibe and the energy, the connection, it just doesn't. You don't agree? Okay.
I don't agree because people will tell you that I'm the best speaker they ever seen. And
you work from a phone.
I usually have my phone. I don't read directly from it, but if this is just my sentiments that I've noticed. If I don't write down what I'm gonna say, I start cussing. Like I throw a cuss word in there because I can be upset. So I had the one time the most viral city council meeting video I had, city council meeting, was because I was talking about this one city council member who wasn't reading our emails and stuff. We're asking her basic questions. And I said, you always show up to the city council meeting on some bullshit. And I didn't write nothing down. And I end up cussing. So I don't do that no more. Because if I don't write anything down, that
sounds like, so that makes more sense. Like if you're in a testimonial space, if you're in a more professional, you got to give a test. You know, I'm you know,
notes are needed then.
Yeah. But at a rally,
when I'm speaking at rallies and stuff, I'm not using stump speeches. I'm not Kamau. I'm not older, so I don't be saying the same shit because the same.
Oh wow. That's
so I have to write for the particular subject that I'm going to.
She said on stump speech. He said,
I remember the late
over and over again.
And I will just say, I'm not comparing Kamau to a politician, but you know how politicians will have like 5 speeches and they take different things from each one.
Oh no, academics do it too. Yeah, I remember the late great Ali Mazrui.
Similar, but it's not like, to me, it's still more personalized. He does something similar, but it's still more personalized. But I can't do that. Because I ain't been saying speeches for 40 years.
He's like the late great Ali Mazrui used to come in to the Africana Center. And they would be great lectures, but he'd be working from literally these paling old ass yellow legal pads that you could see he'd been reading from since the 30s in that joint. He'd be like, and then this happened, and then this happened. And you're like, oh my God, son. That was brilliant. But it was like, oh wow. It was all right. Well.
Yeah, exactly.
I will only say once I learned how to speak without notes, it was a liberating experience in terms of going with the crowd, attempting to move people. Because at rallies and demonstrations, to me, the point is not a dissertation. It is to move people to continue to want to be involved in work, to be excited about it, to want it to, feel like people understand emotionally and somewhat intellectually why we're there, why we're fighting. So when people come up with their I want to give like these 8 points, and then the phone goes dark and they got to stop in the middle of the points and get the light back on and do all this kind of thing with the phone. That stuff always is like, ooh, I'm about to go to sleep on you. Can you?
And I also think that if you're a skilled orator, you can do that. Like you can use notes from your phone, and people don't even know I'm looking at my phone half the time that I'm doing stuff. I also will say I turned down a lot of events. I turned down a May Day event yesterday because I want to do it for some white people. I don't fuck with them like that. I speak at stuff that I really do want to speak at, or I'm paid to speak at. I'm not doing that much shit for free either. So I don't do a lot of I
don't do that shit for free. Eugene is somebody put in the chat. Eugene is a great speaker, actually.
He is. Actually,
I don't like
Yeah, he is a good speaker. I've seen him at several events, but I'm not doing as much as you are, Kamau. Like I'm not.
99% of the time.
I think a lot of it has to do with realistically, like one, you have been organizing longer, and two, you're more appealing. Like people will definitely ask you to come out to do something as a man who's like light skinned than me as a fat black woman. They not gonna ask me to do some shit that much. I only started getting asked to do stuff in like the last 2 years.
Well, first of all, you get paid more than I do when you do speaking. So let's start there.
Yeah, I don't do stuff
one time, you know what she did to me? She was like, come out, how much you get paid if you speak on college campuses? And I was like, what? I was like, I don't know, like 200 if I'm lucky or whatever. She's like, what? She was like embarrassed for me. She was like, oh my God, who speaks? Who does? I was like, I don't even get that half the time. If somebody asks, I usually do if time allows, kind of thing. But she was like, oof. Basically, she was like, you need an agent. I need to get you.
But I think I told him I could be his booking agent, but I think it's different. I'm talking about like a lecture. I got booked to do a lecture at a university. I charged him like $5,000, but it was a lecture.
No one's ever paid me $5,000 to speak at anything.
But I was doing any work I've ever done. It's different. I had to do research about a subject. It was already research I had done. It was something I had talked about before, but I had to do like more research to be more in depth because I was actually doing an hour-long lecture for something, and it's not the same as like me just going to rouse people up at a rally.
I've done that shit before too. Nobody still ain't paid me no $5,000.
I think I've gotten
do some research for.
Yeah, I was trying to think. Yeah,
you never got your PhD. You never got 5 Gs.
No, now first, but I don't. The highest I can ever remember is a $3,000 pay for a lecture, and that was one time. Usually, the standard for me, I'm in the $1,000 tier, roughly speaking.
What?
Yeah. There are levels, and there are some, like I don't mind talk about here, but like I remember years ago, Peniel Joseph, before we had our full fallout, he showed up at Morgan State and told me that he charged Morgan $6,000. That was his HBCU discount. And I remember thinking, I was like, damn. But and that was a long time ago. So like a lot of times they're making 10, 15, 20, sometimes 30 and up. Cornell West is getting 30, 40, 50. Or he used, I don't know.
Well, that's why I believe real quick. That's why I believe that they do like these presidential runs, is because it's like they need to keep themselves in the spotlight to keep that kind of pool going. But that's just a quick interlude. Yeah.
But this is specifically about like lecturing. When I was talking about like being paid to do something, I was talking about lecturing. Now rallies and stuff, I don't charge for that. Like, I mean, I'm gonna go, but I'm just very selective because I also feel like, especially now that I'm becoming like really popular here, even though I'm in denial, people will be like, oh yeah, let's just get Amber to come do it. I was like, no, let's not get Amber to come and do it.
No, I am a sucker for people doing work. And I'll admit, even at times in certain situations, white ones, like yesterday was largely a white affair. Almost, if I'm be honest, uncomfortably. I'm not used to that. But I also think that's a problem. I think that more Black people should be in the labor movement, especially
but they be at work.
Well, I think this is one of the reasons why the rally that was organized yesterday took place after work, even though part of the idea is that people should have been sort of taking the day off anyway. But I think the idea was to now I'm not talking about a one-day affair though, Amber. I'm talking about in general, just being more broadly involved in the labor movement. And I think and I admit, just speaking for myself, I think it's a lot easier and more comfortable in many ways to join the blacker wings of organizing spaces, and even sometimes more comfortable just to be in specifically nationalist Pan-Africanist spaces. But speaking for those who are not in those spaces or not comfortable in those spaces and who are Black and want to be involved in some form of overt politics, they absolutely should be in the labor movement. So I would argue nationalists as well, but I'm just saying that if your thing isn't the fully Black wing, so to speak, but you want to be involved, do the PSL stuff, socialist stuff, and the labor movement, I think, should be, because Black workers and Black women by percentage of population are still the largest segment of the union community, if I'm not mistaken. So it's not that Black people aren't involved. I just think more, particularly those who are saying they're already in some sort of activist space should, you know.
I just want to say that Monty said something in the chat, and I agree with that. Y'all just need to ask for more money. There isn't like a level to it. Y'all really just need to ask for more money. And honestly, come out, you making it harder for the rest of us when you don't be asking for your worth. Because when you lowballing, then they gonna keep thinking they can lowball other people. We need you to, and you really should be asking for more because you're experienced.
My bad. I don't
No.
But if they said they're gonna give me something, I'd be like, all right. If they don't, I'd be like, yeah, all right.
The conversation should be, hey, we want you to come speak at this event. Hey, thank you so much. I think I'm available. What is the honorarium for this?
Yeah, I've never been on that tip.
I'm not comfortable with that either. But
you comfortable going somewhere where people gonna use the knowledge and information you're gonna give them?
I usually do things that what I feel like is associated with some sort of organizing purpose.
Yeah.
So even if it's a conference or something, and if they're going to pay for flight, but I don't want to come out of pocket. So at least I'm there at this stage. It's like,
yeah,
that's right. Let's be clear on that. I can't. I'm not just flying around the world.
For the accommodations.
Yeah. It's got to be at least that. I don't have to get paid, but I can't be just losing money all the time either. Yeah. But it's not just the advocacy point. I appreciate your point there, Amber and Mani and whoever else. But what I'm saying about myself is when I say that there are levels, the people that have budgets for 10, 15, 20, they don't call me. They're not looking for me. Uh-oh. And I think, to be fair, some of it is political. Some of it is there are levels, and I'm just not at that level, and I'm good with that. I recognize that. So the people with budgets, they're not calling me. The people who call me either are people with a little bit of money who can't afford the ones they really want, but are willing to settle, or are people who really want a specific message that I'm working with,
like economics or something,
or that are in more radical spaces who don't have a budget. And then I'm always happy to work with them.
Settling for you.
Or
absolutely.
Or something that's radically political. Like that's, I was like, I don't like to call it some niche or whatever, but those people ain't gonna have, like, they're not gonna have.
Yeah, I'm actually not talking about those people. We were talking about a university, first of all. I'm not talking about those people.
Even at the university, professors, teachers, those like, kind of folks.
Again,
come out and do stuff.
I do free shit every day. I was just doing a Zoom with people about policy stuff. Last week I did a call with Love I Am. I do those all the time for free for movement shit. I'm talking about like a university asking me to come give a lecture, especially if they're going to record it. If you're going to record it, that's my intellectual property. You're not getting that shit for free. You're not lowballing me for that, because people never respect Black women's intellectual property, and I'm not cool with that.
No, universities are a different animal. But again, the even within universities, I never have access to a budget at Morgan, right? So the people with the access to the budget, they can do things and do other things. And then there are people with access to a smaller amount. And usually those are the faculty members I'm dealing with at other universities. They're like, I got a little bit, I can, and I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I years ago I worked with a woman who said that she wouldn't even do activist panels unless they were paying her, and I.
Oh no, I do those. I did that panel for the Black Radical Organizer Conference for free.
Oh hell yeah, you're not getting paid.
And I was the best moderator you niggas had. Everybody was going over on time. I said, "What are y'all doing?"
I know you were the best.
Anybody ever told y'all to shut up before?
No, I just, nobody told me you were the best, but I was mad.
This is the first you've heard of that?
That's the first I heard that you were
actually a liar. But it's okay. He was like,
I was gonna say real quick. Like, so I also went to a May Day rally yesterday, and they didn't ask me to speak either. They did, which I understood because it's and I guess this happens in all the different. Everybody has this niche of civil rightsy, labor, some radical organizers, but you can tell whose mic it is. Let's say it like that, because NAACP folks were there. There's all these different, again, these so-called pro-democracy groups that I've never heard of. Some group called 50-50 plus one or something, and they got some national thing. It's like there's always these names of these groups, and I'm just like, but they got all this money, most of them. So it made sense. They said they wanted me to speak at the end after they marched. I was like, I won't be here that long, But I was like, I'm not doing all that. But it was, but and then the audience was like, you can always, the audience was mostly white. There was some American flags. So I felt a little, and anytime I see American flags in the crowd,
I'm out of there.
I'm telling you, I've literally taught my children that.
It's like a Klan rally. I don't care who it's there.
I see them as the same. I really do. The Confederate, the U.S., the Nazi, I just have I'm like, oh, it's disturbing. I don't. Yeah. There was some of that. Well, from our feeder rally, I liked our feeder spot. Like the crew that were there and almost all of the speakers had a component where they said it was also the Democrats and we needed an electoral strategy beyond that. So I at least appreciated that. And the American flag, one of them that I saw was there. Ironically, it was some twisted,
Does anybody notice? Remind me what the upside down American flag means.
Stress, distress. It's supposed to be a sign of it's like pun intended, Mayday. Yeah.
Okay. There were a couple of those. I was like, what is this? What does that mean? Okay.
Yeah, you're supposed to be able to.
Been held an American flag. I never bought one, but the only time I've ever been held an American flag was to burn it outside of the DA's house on the 4th of July.
The only time I remember one of my first rallies, 1995, CUNY rally. I shimmied up a flagpole, like to pull it down, like we were doing that, like shimmy. Shimmy. Like a shimmy.
Wow.
I shimmied up a flagpole.
Come out.
You stand up and do a demonstration.
I can stand up. That I might charge for. My fans only pay.
Yeah. Now come out, don't play with his money for that. Rally speeches, nudity, lectures, I'm good. But
nudity, shimmying, all that. Yeah.
You're funny.
They don't breaks on Friday. I might need to use the bathroom soon. What's going on?
You can go.
No, we don't take breaks. You just go. That's the break.
I'm just checking.
Now it's time to get into my day.
Ask Amber a question. Let her start a story. Then we can all take a break.
That's fine. I don't have any major stories happening right now, though. But my dating updates are.
Oh wow.
The nigga I went to Vegas with, I still like him the best.
It's not the standings. It's not like a sports standing or what do they call it in political races? Like just chasing the race. It's not that. It's the Amber.
Yeah,
I don't know. Top tier.
So wait a minute. Who's the top 2 or 3? Let me get this. Someone said the power rankings. I like
the power. That's exactly what I was trying to think of. Thank you.
The one I went to Vegas with, he's the favorite right now.
Did he pay for Vegas?
Huh?
He paid for Vegas?
I paid for my own flight, but
but he gets high.
Oh
wow! I'm surprised.
Well, so I just want to say this is our first time meeting up. We came in from separate places, so I paid for my own flight, but then pay for everything else.
Okay. How much follow up can I do on this one?
That's whatever you want. We did a lot of stuff. We
share a room.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, he could have been a killer, so I had to have precaution.
You did go to Vegas with him. How?
Yeah, we were staying in separate places, but we stayed over in each other's places every other night.
Oh, okay, but you kept them separate.
Killer, because that nigga was fine as hell. I said, you never know. I saw him on FaceTime, but you never know. That motherfucker was fine. I said, yeah.
Who's number 2? Who's number 2 on the power rankings?
Okay, the nigga that I date here. He's still number 2. The problem is he did ask me to be his girlfriend. I told him no. So why? I'm not sure. It was actually very cute too. So I did his fellowship program and I'm messy. So it's this nigga in the fellowship program that I used to talk to. We met in the fellowship program. We stopped talking because I realized he was poor and he really should be focused on himself. He kept getting almost evicted every month. I said, you need to focus on yourself. You should not be dating at all. I helped him get some rental resources.
So you're organized for the poor. You just won't date them.
I don't think that's a good thing to do. Your priorities are not in check. If you got a child and you about to get evicted, you need to be focusing on that. And then once you get your life settled, we could talk again.
I'm not mad at that. I
think you should have your priorities in check.
If you're about to get thrown out the house, you should not be let's go have a romantic dinner. Yeah, that's.
I mean, we could stop for a few minutes, and sit down and share some water.
But is that a time to start a relationship when you told you
I
had about
mean,
towards
I
eviction?
feel like I wouldn't get the best version of him in the relationship because he literally stressed out every day. But I knew that he liked me because we would talk for like 3-4 hours every single day. Like he would call me in the morning when I first wake up. But also, he never told me that he liked me. And that is a red flag for me because if you don't express how you feel, but you just show that you like me, that's not enough. And a part of it is because as a fat Black woman, I need people to be real loud about how they like me because I don't want no like secretive shit. But I just feel like he wasn't being expressive like that. And my friends in the fellowship was like, girl, you know that nigga in love with you. I was like, in love with me? That is insane. So I brought a different guy to the graduation because I wanted him to know there was a clear boundary being set. That, because we weren't talking anymore. We're just friends.
But then he asked you to be his girlfriend?
The guy who I brought to the graduation is the poly guy, Jared. You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Yeah, so he's poly.
I'm not necessarily proud of it, but I know I'm very clear.
Yeah. So I was like, I don't think that this would be a relationship I want to delve into because he's poly and I'm not poly. But he gave me this cute little card.
Whoa. I thought you were. Are you not poly? Are you open but not poly? Or
I'm dating. I'm single.
Date. You date.
I'm single and I'm dating people.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Is that, but then you consider poly like, you have the partnership, then you can go outside.
Yeah, he's solo poly, so he's dating multiple people. Like he's dating me and one other girl. Her name, I can't tell y'all her name.
Don't be telling her name on the air, B.
I didn't. I stopped myself. See, you see how that's control. Also, Elon, you agree with me in the chat? I know that's right. Anyway, so he gave me this card, and it was like, congratulations.
I agree too. Praise me openly.
Yeah.
Like when we walk into the restaurant, it should be like, this my man.
Yeah, exactly.
We're here together.
The guy who's poly gave me a card and it said, congratulations on your graduation. Now let us both graduate and become a couple. And I was like, oh, this is so cute. It was so smooth.
But then you said no.
I said no. Okay, so I just want to say, in my defense, I said, oh, this is so cute. He was like, yeah. But I do think before, like, you tell me an answer, we should, like, set up some relationship agreements. I said, oh. And that's where he lost me because I know he's going to get into that poly shit. And I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that. So
wait, though. If you get a man at this stage in your life, you're going to be monogamous.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that was the path of Amber.
Yeah.
I didn't know that part. Okay.
I am not in a relationship with anybody. So I'm dating
whoever you want. But if you were to enter one.
Yeah. If the New Jersey nigga asked me to be his girlfriend today, I'll block everybody.
Is that a third one? Is that a new one? I don't know that one.
Does he know that?
Vegas with.
That's the Vegas dude?
Before this morning show, did he know that?
Yeah, he knows that.
Because
this is the Vegas dude.
Yeah, I mean, he knows that I like him.
I thought this is Jersey. I'm talking about Jersey.
Is that a third dude or fourth dude?
No, there is no. So the third dude is a nigga who think that he's like the secret weapon or something.
Which one is Jersey? Is he the Vegas
Jersey guy? Is the one I went to Vegas with.
Okay.
Oh, right.
I just need to keep them all straight. Okay.
The up north nigga, and then the guy who lives here. I'm only dating one person who live here. I can't do too. I can't do too much because I be going places and people be seeing me and I be like, because I can't play niggas if you see me with a, you know what I'm saying? Like it don't work right. So yeah.
Is this the whole Friday show? Or are we gonna do this is what I do all day?
No, you keep interrupting. If you had stopped interrupting, I would have been done.
No, I just wanted to know. I just wanted to make sure I'm here for
that. Anyways, so the guy who I told you was poor at the moment and is getting his life together. He thinks he's a secret weapon. He's like, yeah. Yesterday he said, yeah. I know you just doing whatever. But when I'm ready, I know you're gonna be ready for me. I said, you're lying to yourself, first of all. And then he was like, do you want to come to this wedding with me? And I love weddings. I said, yeah. But I said, I just think it's so interesting because when I previously had mentioned that he just doesn't tell people how he feels, now he's been kind of subtly doing stuff like ask me to be his date to a wedding. I said, I see what you're doing here. You still can't tell me that you like me, but you're going to ask me to be your date to a wedding as like an indicator. I'm supposed to just catch on to that. That's not how I work. That's not how I work. You still have to be very, very public. And then he be asking me about the nigga that I brought to the graduation. He was like, yeah, I know you dating so-and-so, but he don't matter. I said, he don't matter. You sure know his name. That man, he didn't say his name at least 3 times in the last 2 days. I said, oh, you're pressed. And the only thing that could bring you out of the gutter of the rankings is that you get your life together. And you ain't done that. So, because yesterday he was like, you're finna go pay what I got on my rent. I said, see, this is too much. I said, so you don't have your full rent amount. He was like, no. I said, I can't do this. Because I'd be more stressed out about him having his rent paid than he do. And I don't know if that's just a nigga thing.
You gonna loan him some money?
Hell no. The fuck?
Don't you loan him money, dude?
He got rental assistance.
Money you making from your academic, endeavors.
He got rental assistance. Like, I connected him to the United Way. They're gonna help him pay his rent. But I just think that, you're just not in a place to date people. If that's how it's going.
Weddings are boring sometimes.
Weddings are not boring. Y'all must be going to boring weddings. It's a black wedding. It's gonna be lit. It's a black wedding, and the girl that's getting married is a dominatrix. Baby, it's gonna be good.
Okay.
Woo! It's gonna be good. I can't wait. It's gonna be lit. Anyways, but the other people that I was talking to, I just subtly stopped responding to them, mainly because I went to jail and I've been sick. Not because I didn't want to talk to them anymore, but I was a little stressed out. But some of them text me yesterday because the Mississippi nigga,
some of them
like him.
So how many dudes are you dating in general? 4, 8,
I would
12?
say 2 that I'm actually dating.
How many people are trying to date you at this moment?
I would say probably a smooth 4.
A smooth 4. Okay.
And the people who secretly want to date me, because that's probably about another 20.
Oh, goddamn.
And someone in the chat asked me how they send in the application. You can always email me at thelawaccordingtoamber@gmail.com. I said this last time, but somebody did send an app. It wasn't that good though. So you still got opportunity.
Okay, I gotta ask. What does the app have to consist of? What's on the app? I'm gonna leave it alone.
Can you pay your rent and expenses consistently every month?
So they got to write and say, "Hey, Amber, I want to date you. Let me let you know about my financial background." I like
not about their financial background. I just want to make sure they can take care of themselves.
Take care of themselves. I'm not even mad at that requirement.
I think it's weird to try to enter a relationship and you can't take care of yourself, because I'm not gonna take care of you.
We have to live vicariously. Shirley said we are too interested. It's like we have to live vicariously. It's like this is what young people are doing. I know Amber don't like that when I call her young, but what are you, like 24, 25 again?
I feel like you do this on purpose. You know that I'm 30 years old.
Yeah. Are you?
I am.
Are you? Yeah, I want to hear about her, to a degree. I can't do this for 2 hours worth. I mean, that's a lot, but
no, we would never do this for 2 hours.
Okay.
But, yeah, first of all, Rob, I wasn't riding in jail for 37 minutes. I was in jail for 18 hours.
You said 37 minutes?
I was in jail for 18 hours. I just want to say.
No, you're probably right. She just felt like it was 18. I agree. It's probably like
no,
it's like probably like 20 minutes in the squad car. It's like 20 minutes in the squad car. She going back there acting like she was like locked down in
I went in that jail at 10 a.m. and didn't come out till 4:30 a.m. the next day.
Happens.
I had to be at court at 9 a.m. for court.
Well, it happens to everybody.
I was traumatized. The bologna sandwich was very good, though. I will say that.
The bologna sandwiches are never good in jail.
They was good.
No, they are to be avoided. There's no such thing.
Very delicious.
Bologna is to be avoided in jail.
Man, I do agree.
The last thing you want in jail, get too graphic, is like diarrhea or have to go. It is not.
That didn't happen.
The last thing you want. No bologna, no cheese sandwiches, none of that.
That didn't happen to me. But I just want to say I agree with John's comment that some men need a stronger woman. I think that's something that people are attracted to in me.
All men.
I be telling them to shut up. And sometimes you need somebody to tell you.
You be telling people no, so that's crazy.
No, that's too much. Yeah,
that's not going to go over well in the dating life.
No, I mean like people that you're in a relationship with. That's when you're on a date with.
What are you talking about?
Don't tell somebody you're on a date with to shut up. You guys don't do that. I mean, like, sometimes when you're talking to someone and y'all on the second hour of the conversation and they just been saying the same thing, but there's no solution. Sometimes you need somebody to tell them to shut the fuck up. And let's go back to the beginning of the conversation when I told you what to do, but you still been talking about this. That's what the guy who is in love with me here does a lot. He will talk to me for 3 to 4 hours. We talking about the same shit. Is this a humorous
shut the fuck up, like in a joking mode, or this is like
I'd be like, no, you really need to shut up and listen to me. I told you what to do 2 hours ago. Are you gonna do that? If you're gonna do that, cool. If you're not, we're not talking about this anymore. And I feel like people need someone with that discernment to be like, yeah, we need to stop. Let's just cease the conversation.
I don't tell people to shut up. Even if I want them to shut up, I would never tell.
I'm gonna tell them to shut up.
I would never be like,
because men are yappers. I don't know if y'all know this about yourselves, but you're yappers. Y'all be just talking. That New Jersey nigga, I'll ask him one question, or sometimes he'll ask me a question, and I'll start answering, and he just starts talking, and I just let him talk. He just be talking for about 10 minutes. I just let him go.
But you could say, could we stop? I would prefer that this end. I'm not interested in discussing this anymore. It's the succession and the ordering of those words.
I feel like that's what people do who are nice. But as Megan Thee Stallion said, fuck it, bitch, I'm not nice.
Oh, we'll see. No, so it's like what I've always talked about, just in life in general. It's moderating the equalizer a little bit. We want the strength, but just if we could just
balancing it,
a little bit, a little bit on this side, a little bit of the if we could just turn that down a little bit, up the strength, down to shut up, a little bit like that, a little bit,
since we're critiquing people saying that they want somebody to shut up, Terrence made a great comment here. He said, "Thanks for sharing, Amber. We are ready for the news now." I think that's a good way to tell somebody to shut up.
So I agree. I agree.
We still got more to talk about, and you can figure out when we start getting to the news later. Just keep watching.
Is it going to be news?
That's a great way to tell somebody to shut up.
We can,
See how without telling Amber to shut up, I was like, I'm down for some news. See how you work?
Yeah. I think you had to go take a bathroom break though. So what we're gonna do is me and Jared are gonna finish our.
You're gonna finish this part about the relationship, and when I come back, then we're gonna do some news. Yes. Okay, I'm down with that. All right, let me just.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
I will say I was at the end of the story, so I don't have much left.
I mean, you went through the 9 men you were dating.
Oh,
it wasn't 9. It wasn't 9.
It was 4 plus more.
It was 2.
It was more than 2. First of all, there was 3. There's 3 I remember off top, and then there was some other niggas who was like they put in their bids in email form, and there's like another 20 who are interested. So it was not 2. Let's not act like it was like 2.
I mean, my guess is that there's another 20 that's interested. I don't actually know because I don't use dating apps or anything anymore. I stopped using dating apps in January, December-ish. But I definitely still get alerts, so I know.
Now I'm hooked again because I've never done a dating. Now I'm back up. Now I'm holding it in again. I'm like, I've never, obviously it's still too late now for the dating app, but I never got to do the dating app. And I
would have liked to be able to do that too.
Yeah, there's something weird about it. So when my friends start talking about the dating app, I make them show me the phones. I'd be like, they show me the swiping thing. I was like, what?
Because I'm all for apps. I use apps. Like I'm big on. I want an app for everything. Like I got apps to get the lawn cut. I got apps to get to turn on the TV and all that. I love that. I love all of that. So it would have been great.
I would love a good app. Yeah.
I like dating apps because my favorite thing about them is like trying out different parts of my personality on people. So on some of them, I'm like super artsy. On some of them, I'm like super political. On some of them, I'm like super into like dominatrix stuff, and like I just be trying different parts of my personality out.
All right. Oh yeah, people are.
Elon did ask me how do I find the time, and Elon, that's actually a great question because I had to figure that out too. So I like to date niggas with different schedules. The one who lives here works a regular job, but he works like a 10-hour shift, but he off by like 4 or 5. The one in New Jersey works a second shift job, and he get off at like 11 Eastern time. And so I just be available after the first one get off to talk a little bit or go do something. And then the other one's at work still. And then usually when he's off, either he'll call me early in the day or we'll like FaceTime or something at night. But that's like later. So I couldn't do like no sleepovers and shit no more. I had to stop that because he might FaceTime me and I'm at another nigga house. So I couldn't do that no more. But I was able to manage the time well. Now I did have to tell that nigga to stop calling me for 3 or 4 hours in the morning because other people were trying to call me. And he was cutting into the people that I actually wanted to date. So you have to manage your time well, but it's actually not that bad to me. Like the guy who I date here, he works 10-hour shifts, so he doesn't even do stuff until the weekend anyways, when he's off. So I never have to worry about trying to make myself available during the week for him because he be at home asleep because he got to get up at like 4:30 in the morning. It's actually not that hard. I just think that people should like really work on talking to people with different time schedules, like different like work schedules and stuff.
That's more power to you. At this point, it just sounds to me like a lot. Yeah, but I've always been that way though. I've always found dating and trying to balance all of that very stressful, and yeah, so it makes sense that I would have that reaction.
Well, I mean, somebody asked if they know about each other. I think if they ask me about each other, then I would tell them. I mean, no one's asked me. The nigga in New Jersey had some girl calling him at like midnight when we was out getting some food in Vegas. I said, who that bitch? He said, this girl I used to talk to. I said, she calling you at like 1 a.m.? He said, yeah, obviously she thought I was in town. I said, obviously she did. But he was like, I haven't talked to her in like a month or two, so I think it's interesting. She probably calling me for a booty call or something. I said, probably. Because if I don't talk to nobody for a month or two, and then I randomly call them late at night, I was calling them.
I mean, do young people now call each other at 1 a.m. for just to catch up on the weather? I mean, is because it would have definitely that's booty call hours.
I've called somebody and talked to them that late, and it wasn't for a booty call. It was just a regular conversation. But I was like, yeah, I knew for sure there was somebody you possibly dated. But she didn't look cuter than me, so I didn't really care.
John, tell the truth. John is telling the truth. We could have saved some money with those apps. That's
yeah, I could have too. I've been saving my time.
My goodness,
not going out with niggas who suck.
But isn't that what they do on the apps? So like half of the time on the apps, people say they be taking multiple dates. So what's the difference? In fact, you might get more dates because of the app.
This is also why I don't like when I use the apps. I don't like dating people. Even on the apps, I don't date people who live here because the places I'm gonna go are places I frequent. People gonna know that I'm like, dating people because they're gonna see me with different people at that one place. I don't want to get caught up. So I just don't do that. I just date people who live in other places. And usually it's just places I frequent a lot. Like I go to Nashville a lot for work. So I date like a lot of Nashville niggas. Kind of splitting it up like that. But it's actually not that hard. I think people assume dating multiple people is actually more difficult than it is. I feel like you can date 2 or 3 people and it's not that much. Who said girls stick to build your public policy career? I have a public policy career already.
All right, what about the news?
All right, should we slap the map? Should we actually slap the map on a Friday? Yeah, let's slap the map first.
I don't have any stories. I like to talk about.
Yeah, we do. Yes, welcome back to the Remix Morning Show. Please like, share, subscribe, support blackliberationmedia.org. Links in the show description. Put this in your socials, and as Ear Doctor says, tell a friend to tell a friend that it's on again. Is there a story that anyone wants to get to? We do have a pretty full run sheet that Erica has left us.
I had a story, but we can talk about one of y'all's first because it's going to be more boring than mine.
I didn't have one in particular. I thought we could go off the run sheet, but if you have one that you're interested in, we can start there.
Okay. I want to put it in the chat so you can pull it up.
Yay.
Tamel can't wait to talk about intellectual stimulating conversation because that's all he got.
What else is there?
Is that all you offer to the world, Kamel? Is that it?
It's not always even that intellectual, but some kind of topical things. That's my area to talk about. Yeah.
Anyways, the niggas who killed Tyre Nichols are on trial right now, and Ricky's so funny. And yesterday, today's the 2nd. No, on April 30th, they actually had this like ex-cop on the stand. His name is Preston Hemphill. and he was the officer who I actually identified on national news, and like was this whole big story. Basically, he was like the one white officer at the scene, and he was talking about how like this wasn't any of the stuff they were trained to do, whatever. The trial has been going really interesting so far though, because it's a state trial. It's not like the federal one, so they've been streaming the whole thing, so you were able to actually watch and see how fucked up the police department is. And I think that they've been doing a really good job of like showing how these task force units are literally breaking the law. The defense side to me hasn't had good witnesses. They've had like several people talk about training, and then they also had like 3 or 4 officers who did that's Paul from the DA's office. They had several officers who, that's the Preston guy. That's the one I identified.
This one here?
Yeah, I could have been an investigative reporter. The way I found that man, I noticed also that he changed his Apple Watch band, because that's how I identified him the first time from that one little picture. And he said, you know what, I need to change this joint out because people is recognizing me from this. But he did a really good testimony about the stop initially. He talked about all the fucked up shit that he did with pulling him out of the car, yelling at him, all that stuff. And then the other people who did the character witness stuff for one of the officers, I don't feel like, I think the defense attorney is scrounging for something, because he had like 3 or 4 people who did character witnesses for somebody, and I was like, this isn't helping him actually. Like getting up here saying that this man was humble after he just murdered somebody, maybe that's not gonna get him off. That white guy, go back one. That white guy, that's Paul Hagerman from the DA's office. I didn't know he was trying this case. He's the guy right under the DA. So I didn't know that he was the one that was going to be actually trying the case. I thought it was going to be like a team of people. But I think that the defense has really been trying to make Tyre a criminal, but none of that is outdoing the video. And I think that they thought if they were able to like say, hey, there were some stolen credit cards in his car, even though they weren't his, like he didn't steal them. Someone had like left them in the car because he had just bought the car. It was a new car. So someone had stole it, and then the car was like sold off to somebody, and Tyre bought it from like a car lot. They've been trying to like turn him into this criminal thing, and it's not working because the video is so damning that none of that stuff is working. So the trial has been going on. The prosecution rested on the 30th. Now they're doing the defense side, and I think that they might either rest today or on Monday, but I don't think they're going to get off. They're on trial for second-degree murder, aggravated assault, aggravated kidnapping, official misconduct, and official oppression. I had to Google some of them because I said, what's official oppression? Stop moving so quick. Stop moving so quick. Okay. I thought this was a really good point. The EMTs who got fired also, because all the EMTs that were on the scene got fired. They made a good point of saying if the police had actually informed them of the head trauma or like the injuries to Tyre, that they would have performed different like medical tests and like other stuff, but they didn't tell them that. The police never told them any of the stuff they did to him, so they didn't know how to treat him. And I thought this was a really good way to show like how they actually did like really kill this man and then just try to cover it up. You can keep going a little bit more. Okay, the guy, the EMT Long, who was fired, was asked if you had been told that he had received devastating head blows, would it have changed how you provided care for him? And he said, yes, sir. Also, not only did they lose their jobs, but they lost their licenses. They can no longer be EMTs anymore. I did think that was a little rough for people who did not know that this was happening. Like, they didn't know what had happened to him. They didn't know the police had beat the shit out of him. I do think it was a little fucked up to take their licenses away. But, you know, it is what it is. You can keep scrolling.
So they I don't think this child is making national news. Is it making big news in Memphis? Is it being covered?
It is making national news. I've seen it a few times. What national news you be watching?
But the New York Times,
wow.
Post, CNN, all those kind of places. I have not seen it on a more regular basis as I've seen some other ones.
The Washington Post is there. So I went to the actual floor where the trial is happening, and the whole half of the floor where the courtroom is facing against is a media pool. Mm-hmm. There's like 6 tables set up full of media. Mm-hmm. They're all like covering the story. And I know the Washington Post was there. All the local media is there. 2 of the local stations are live streaming it. Mm-hmm. I did see someone from Washington Post, Politico, The Guardian.
Okay. Yeah, I'm always like, you know, when I when the prosecution, and again, it's hard for me to measure because again, before you mentioned it, I actually did not even know the trial was happening as we spoke. But I usually find that when the prosecution is presenting evidence, the longer they go, the worse it is. Because they are usually over presenting evidence in a way that sometimes can throw the case.
I'm not going to see that, but that's the press pool thing.
So sometimes they're doing that in ways that can throw the case because they're interested in at the end of it trying to say, oh, we put up this fantastic, we put up all this evidence and the jury found, and we have to blah blah blah. But I usually also find like sometimes they're confusing the jury, and in my opinion, sometimes on purpose, to throw a case, but also to say like, hey, they tried to send a prosecution, and that's hard for me to measure in this particular instance. And I agree with you. Usually, the video, as I remember it, also from a while back, is so overwhelmingly damning that it's going to be hard. And then you can expect, no matter what happens in this case, that there will not be any federal prosecution because the feds just don't do that anymore. And again, whatever we thought about,
there already was federal prosecution. They've already gone through a federal trial.
There's been a federal trial. There's been a civil rights trial before this actual.
Yeah, they went through the federal trial first,
and they were found
guilty.
Of civil rights violations. Oh, okay, was that under Biden? Because I'm sure it didn't happen now under Trump.
Yeah, I mean, it was last summer-ish. So yeah, under Biden. Yeah.
Okay. That's also
does that happen often?
No,
that you go to
federal trial happens after.
Yeah, I'm confused. Like, why would you?
The state trial was supposed to be first, and then the federal trial got moved up. So I mean, that could have been because of them thinking maybe Trump was going to win, but I don't think that's what it was. They said something about the state trial. The people who were in the state trial, they requested like more time.
Oh, and so the feds just moved ahead.
Yeah, okay. The feds went with their stuff first.
So either way, and they got convicted, so most likely then they'll be doing some time no matter what happens in the state trial or whatever.
Yeah, because two of them took a plea deal. Emmett Martin and Desmond Mills took plea deals, and they testified against the other three officers in the federal trial. I feel like the federal trial didn't get as much attention because we can't have live stream in there. So like even I was in there, but I was writing down stuff profusely. Like you have to like literally either go off of what they're saying and writing stuff down or reading the articles where the other people were in there writing stuff. And I read some of the articles, like the Washington Post was here, the Guardian was here, the Commercial Appeal, which is here in Memphis. They were there every single day, like putting out updated stuff. But it was really, to me, it was hard to follow the federal trial because there isn't any live streaming allowed. At least with this one, I've gone back and like watched stuff as it's happened, like if I was asleep or something, because I've been sick this week. So I actually missed Preston's thing, which I was so mad because I'm the one that found the nigga.
Has there been protests or daily protests and all that kind of stuff too, or no?
No. Yeah, no, I don't believe in the criminal justice system.
Who doesn't believe? No, I'm asking if people will be protesting outside, not about what you've been doing.
They're not protesting outside, but they're going to the trial. Like the shit packed. I tried to go twice and I couldn't get in because it's packed. Like it's deep in there, hoe. Like everybody in there. But I also think that this is really one of those cases where everybody know them niggas guilty. And even in the live stream, like chat, like on YouTube and Facebook, they going in on them officers. Like the whole city know them niggas guilty. Like that's obvious. That's just period. But he fine. Go back. I know him. Kevion.
Let's move on. Let's keep on going at this stage.
I know him.
He's a pastor, so I'm sure he's not interested in your advances.
Yeah, I don't want that man. He's from Mississippi though. He's a lawyer from Mississippi. And he just became a pastor recently. He be on TikTok, but I met him in college. Like he's a Q, and he used to come to Q parties in my college. That's how I know him. Don't nobody want that man. Let's be serious here. But I do agree that it isn't being published as much as I thought it was. I think it's very popular here in Memphis because everybody's watching it. But outside of Tennessee, I would say I don't think people are watching it as much because the jury actually came from Chattanooga, and it's an all-white jury, so everybody was all upset about that. I was like, Chattanooga is pretty much just as liberal as Memphis.
Jury is almost all white or all white?
It's all white.
And so they said what, they could not get a fair trial with a Memphis jury, or is that
I think people from Memphis were like, Chattanooga people, all white, they're gonna like not find them guilty. I don't agree with that because Chattanooga is one of
no. I'm asking that the jury pool was picked out of Chattanooga because the claim was that they could not. The defense.
Yeah, they said it was like sour, but I was like, this is a national case. Everybody heard about this. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter where you get the jury from. But Chattanooga is actually just as liberal as Memphis, if not more, because they have actually more Democratic representation there. Like they've had the same super liberal ass mayor for like 10 plus years, and they just got a new mayor like just recently, but they had the same person. Jared, why are you making that face?
I don't have a particular reason.
Oh, okay. So anyways, the jury, I felt like we're still gonna probably find them guilty, even though they're from Chattanooga. And then they said on the first and second day, 2 people was in there crying when Mama Ron, her son Tyrese, her son, she was giving testimony on the first day. They said somebody was crying then, and the second day they said somebody was crying when someone else was giving testimony about like the videos and like showing what happened. I said, oh yeah, them niggas are a goner. They a goner, baby. You're going to federal prison. But I still stand by my statement that none of this is actual justice unless they get their ass beat and they die in the same way Tyre did. If that's not happening, that's not justice to me. Let somebody beat your ass. Let's let somebody kick you in the head. Let's let somebody punch you in the face and then see how you fare from that. And then let you sit on the side of a car and die slowly and then see, how you feel from that. That's justice to me. But, that's just me. I'm very much an eye for an eye type of nigga. And ain't no way you finna beat the shit out of me and leave me propped up against the car. The worst part, I think, from the video was when I didn't watch the whole thing. I only saw a small clip when he was like sliding down because he's literally dying and they prop him up against the car. I said, oh, you knew you were wrong then. You knew that nigga was like injured then. You just did not care. And that's insane. And the Preston guy, I thought he also did really good testimony about how they're encouraged to break the law to reach the quotas because the task forces are supposed to hit so many felony quotas a day. And they hadn't been hitting those quotas. And Justin Smith offered to let Preston ride with him so he could see how he does things because he's going to get kicked out the task force because he wasn't reaching the quota. And then Emmett Martin even said in his federal testimony, the reason why he got so angry at Tyre from running was because he had just come back onto the task force because he hadn't been meeting his quotas. They had just added him back and he had to get a felony arrest that day because if he didn't, he was at risk of being removed. So you fucking kill somebody? I was like, really, Emmett? And what's wild is that I actually know Emmett because Emmett went to Bethel University, which is right down the street from where I went to school at UT Martin. And he's a Q, and their Q chapters are like real close. And so I used to see him all the time when I was in school. We graduated at the same time. So I said, now he became a fuck nigga. Damn. It was messed up.
Oh, man.
And I think that the worst part about this is because Memphis is so small, we do know most of these people. Like so many people knew Emmett is very popular. So many people know Emmett. So many people know that Haley guy, and a lot of people know the Justin Smith guy because Memphis is not that big. And they're rotating the same officers in and out of those task force. So they all know about like the quota thing. And I think this is also the first time I saw them admit to the quotas in like court, like in federal court. That was the first time they admitted after like saying that they don't have quotas all this time. That was the first time they admitted like, no, we have to get like 1 felony arrest a day. And that's also very hard because most people aren't committing felonies.
No, you're right. Most of these special operation teams have secret quotas and or they're encouraged to make they won't spell out the numbers, but they're encouraged to make a certain amount of arrests per day or stops per day. And they calculate somehow, whatever,
And the real issue is that like they weren't able to reach their felony quotas because the areas they were in that they had deemed like so violent and full of all these criminals were literally just Black neighborhoods, but they didn't have high crime rates. The area that Tyre was killed in is the area I grew up in. It's in East Memphis. East Memphis, that zip code he was in, had 1 homicide the entire year 2022. So it wasn't a high crime area. They were literally just patrolling majority Black neighborhoods. For somebody who asked in the chat, was it personal? It wasn't personal. They didn't know him. They were just coming up with random shit. Like they were just coming up with stories about like he knew somebody's girlfriend or something. None of that stuff is true. It's literally just basic racism. They also talked about in the federal trial that not only were they given quotas, but they were told to target certain cars. So Tyre was in a Charger. They were told to target Chargers, Infinities. They were told to look for males in the cars. What are those cars? They're like, what do they call? Like a box car.
Oh, I thought you were going to say cars with black people in them.
No, Chevy or some shit. I don't know.
Just any car with black people in them. Like a box
Chevy. Yeah, like a box Chevy. Cars like that, like more, what you say, like fast cars, but also just more prominent cars that black people would drive, like Infinities.
The car stops are probably the most, outside of like walking areas like a New York City, the car stops are the most dangerous for like black folks because you're surrounded, right? And you don't know what's going to happen at that particular point in time.
And they were all in unmarked cars, which is why we passed that ordinance here about not using unmarked cars and traffic stops, because they talked about in the trial, the state trial they're doing right now, like, didn't he drive a mile and a half before he even stopped? But I would have drove a mile and a half too before I stopped, because I don't know it's your police car. They're in like regular Chargers. They were in like dark gray Chargers with no insignia on it at all. Nothing that said police. It just had some lights on top. If someone had some lights on top of their car and they're in a dark gray Charger, I'm not stopping for you. I don't believe that you're the police. And that's not safe in the first place. Like, why would I stop? And they tried to make that seem like, it's because he was a criminal. He was trying to run. No, nigga, he don't know it's the police. I wouldn't know either. I got stopped by an unmarked car one time in Nashville. I was actually on the interstate. And I kept going. I didn't know it was a police car. I didn't know it was a police car until he got on a little speaker thing and was like, "This is the police, stop." I was like, "Oh." And he was like, "Yeah, you went for quite a while." I said, "Yeah, because you're in a regular Ford truck. I don't know that you're the police." And tried to like criminalize me from that. I said, "You don't have anything on your car that says you're the police. How would I know?" And he was like, "Oh, okay." And got mad. I was like, "What are you mad at me for? You're the one in the unmarked car, bitch." But it was fine. I didn't get a ticket or nothing. He just let me go. But I just think he didn't understand how I could possibly not stop for the police. I don't know that you're the police. None of us do. And I do think they're not winning that part of the trial either. Like, trying to criminalize him is really not working. The videos is too damning. It's like, we got, not only do we have body cam footage, we got this sky cam. It's not going to work for you, dog. And Emmett also talked about in the federal trial how they tell them to take their body cameras off, because they showed a scene where they were on body cameras and he was pointing at the guy, and the guy took his body camera off before he started talking again, because he started talking about what they were doing. He was like, "Yeah, man, I hit him with them," and he pointed at his camera. He took the body camera off and sat it on the back of his car. And he talked about how that was a practice that they did. And I believe that's a practice, because when I got arrested, they took me to a precinct for 2 hours. I was in the back of a car. The guy who was in the car with me took off his body camera and sat it on the back of his car and went to go talk to the other officers. It was like 6 of them. And they were all looking at their body cams, trying to figure out what they could charge him with. I feel like that's what they were doing, because they were watching like videos over and over again. But he took his body camera off and put it on the back of the car. And the guy in the federal trial said the same thing. I was like, yeah, that's like a thing they do, because they don't want anybody to hear what they're saying.
Wow.
I know I just laid so much on you. There was so much.
I mean, it's a lot. It is a lot, and I was also thinking, because I just finished finally reading Justine Barron's book on the Freddie Gray case here in Baltimore.
Really? And
that's a good question. It's They Killed Freddie Gray: The Anatomy of a Police Brutality Cover-Up. Came out in 2023, and because some students have been doing class projects on campus around the 10th anniversary of Freddie Gray's killing, and which was last month. And I hadn't actually read the full book, so I finally finished it. And a lot of what you said just sounded like a lot of the same. Yeah, exactly the business as usual, from the whole thing of the, claiming places are high crime areas, to why did they run, to all kinds of questions around what really happens in police custody. And then I will say this, and Kamal, since you're here, you might find this part particularly interesting. What I did not realize, even being around at the time in 2015, I didn't pay enough attention to the trial eventually, or the series of trials that eventually exonerated all 6 cops. But
did they do separate trials?
Yeah. I don't know if all 6 were done separately, but there were several. I can't remember, because in part it was just a lot of detail. And what I found particularly fascinating is that apparently what was shown in trial in the court was, according to Barron's book, far less interesting than what had happened in the pretrial hearings, that all of the real work was done in the pretrial hearings. So part of the way I'm interpreting her book and some of the interviewees she talks to is that by the time you got to what was seen in public, it was already a wrap, and it was likely largely more about suppressing protests than actually trying to get anybody locked up. But the way that, but anyway, but so much of what there's just, so many of the other details that you were outlining there just sounded very similar to what happened in this case. And then, and then the book, anyway, I mean, Barron's book is fascinating, and it's another reminder of not only the fugazery of the so-called justice system, but the media environment is so insidious. It's so easy to be misled, or to not be given information, or to be just everything framed incorrectly.
Certain ways, I think they trying hard with this framing right now. I really think if there was no video, they literally could have pinned him up as a criminal. But because of that video, they are struggling hard. They've been trying this criminal angle for 2 years.
So, but this is, again, that's something similar to what I didn't realize as much at the time, at least with Freddie Gray, is that one of the things that gets suppressed in the trial is the amount of CCTV that actually depicted what was happening. So a lot of what was not thought to even be on camera or tape was, and it still didn't. It
limited what could be seen in the trial.
It wasn't shown, it wasn't shown at all.
If I remember correctly, that was one of the things they were able to suppress in pretrial hearings. So you don't, so like a lot of, I mean, and the way Barron writes about these trials, it really reads as a charade, and I almost don't understand how people end up. I mean, it's hard for me to understand how people could actually go into that level of performance live in front of each other. The judge,
I see that shit
not I'm not saying that I don't understand, that I can't see it happening. I'm trying to put myself in that. I'm trying to imagine willfully myself participating in what I know is a fraud. And I
you can't, because you got a conscience and morals. I think that the one thing that's helping this trial is that the DA that we have now, which was like a big deal to get him elected. When I say it was a whole full national campaign to get him elected. He still only barely won because our other DA, Amy Weber, was so fucking trifling. That's the one who I burned the flag outside her house. She was so trifling that even people who don't believe in policing, I don't believe in that shit, but I was on that. I was trying to get that nigga in. Steve Morroy, we was on him, trying to get him in, and it has paid off, because when we were out protesting for Tyre, the main thing we were asking for was them videos. He was the first person to be like, we finna post them all. I'm posting everything, the body cam, the sky cam, everybody's body camera footage, everybody's car footage. He put all that shit out there because he was like, y'all not finna be on me, because he knew we was finna be on his ass. We did a whole sit-in in his office one time, the second day after we had just got something released. We were trying to get something else, some information on some of the officers, their personnel files. We did a sit-in at his office. He put that shit out the next day. We was on him, white on rice. And he was he was falling for it. He wasn't fighting back at all. I was like, oh, you're not putting up no kind of defense. So I think that helped, because we had a DA who was like, well, I'm going to do the right thing and just put this stuff out here and y'all figure it out. Because he also had seen it and he knew that they was criminals. So he was like, fuck it, I'm going to just put it out there. And then y'all just, decide what you want to decide. And I think that's helped them a lot, because they are able to use that mostly. So no matter what the defense is putting up, no matter how many character witnesses they put out, no matter how much they make them niggas look human in the trial, you look like monsters on all these video cameras.
Yeah, I think in terms of the racism within the criminal justice system, because these are Black cops, I think there's a higher chance that they will be, I don't want to use the word scapegoated, because they did the actions or whatever, but they still represent sort of the symptom and not the actual larger issue of policing, right, in our communities and in this country. So I do think there's a larger chance that they get, but they probably get convicted. But pre-trial is where a lot of the information gets excluded or moved around, or what can be shown, and again, the character witnesses and all the rest of it that can determine a lot at trial. And so sometimes there is an idea about how folks will have what they think is pretty damning evidence, particularly from not in these cop situations, but from a criminal defense perspective, that or this place where they want to go down, that gives the motivation for why something takes place. And if the judge rules that it's out, you don't have a way to put it back in, and then you do have to participate in a somewhat charade or somewhat of a performative part of your job. Is that I still have to go forward with this, even though I think the judge has just diminished my chances, and this is going to be appealed and the rest of it. Yeah. The other thing that was going to, I'm in the minority on the left on this. I'm somebody who actually is in favor of body cams, because I think as much video as possible is always needed to shine light on this stuff. Doesn't guarantee convictions by any stretch of the imagination, because if we can look back at the most famous sort of video of police brutality is Rodney King, which everybody on first blush saw and said, there's no way they're going to try to get away with this, right? There's no way they're going to try to get away with this. But in Los Angeles, they tried to get away with it, right? And that caused, it shows where people are at mentally, because we still believed all of, you know what I mean? And I think that still happens today. People still believe that somehow a trial is going to bring about justice or fairness. And that's the hold they have over us, is that propaganda of the idea that these courts actually will sort of bring out some sense of justice one way or another. And then when it doesn't happen, we go into shock mode a lot of times. And, so I always like when an explosion happens prior to a trial. So when the Mike Brown rebellion, I like the fact that they happened on the blush of someone being murdered or killed, as opposed to waiting for a trial to see what happens. Even in Floyd, because at the very least, what happens is that it puts pressure on the court system, but even more importantly, continues to show a radicalization of a population that's willing to react prior to the outcome of the so-called justice system. So just some thoughts or whatever.
No, I agree. Someone did say they wanted your Esquire opinion, but in reality, the niggas going down, baby, O Street in a Range Rover, and motherfuckers get locked up. It's over for them.
I'm not 100. Again, I'm not there. I'm not watching it. You are, but they're cops, and in the justice system that does everything impossible to protect the police, to help support the police, to come up with excuses for them. So, they might even get convicted on, I'm not sure what the highest charge is, but they might even get convicted.
The highest is second-degree murder. Now, I don't think they're going to get convicted of every single thing.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to get convicted of every single thing, because in the federal trial, they only got convicted on, 2 of them got convicted on 1 charge, and then 1 of them got convicted on 2. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to get convicted of something. I don't know if they're going to get convicted on every single thing, but I also think that, similar to what some people were saying in the chat about your DA being the one to stop some of this stuff, and the judges, the guy who's also the judge, his name is James Jones. We endorsed him in our Young Dem chapter, and I helped to get him elected 3-4 years ago. And I actually am very glad I did, because you can see him, he's being fair, but you can see him throwing out bullshit. Because in pre-trial hearings, I've been watching them. They tried to put in some stupid shit one time about his life in Sacramento with his baby mama and all kinds of other shit. None of this even matters. He was throwing that shit out left and right. The only thing I don't like
my bad. Go ahead. My bad.
Oh, I don't like that he let them talk about the credit cards. They did a motion on the first day about the credit cards in his car, and they let him talk about that. But other than that, he was throwing out motions left and right. And I think this is also a great example of how, until we have the system that we want, until we have what we want, you have to work with what you got. And what we got is judges and prosecutors. And we got to make sure the niggas we got in there, we can hold them accountable because we was on James' ass.
So real quick, Leah asks, can Trump reverse any decision made on this? So Trump can only, if there was a federal trial which was already had, Trump can pardon them. His presidential powers will not, he's not in any position to do anything because these are state trials. And that's one reason, not to say that he would anyway, but when people talk about what a president can do, like for Mumia was convicted on state charges, not on federal charges. Although, and it's supposed to be, I think this has happened to Mumia a couple of times where they've moved him actually into federal custody at times. And that's, again, one of these things that are not supposed to happen. And I think Jamil Alameen at times has been put into federal, if my memory is correct, his trial was a state trial. So then they will do some things like that. But the president, officially, as the position holds, can't do anything beyond.
But the governor could do this. Could
yes.
commute a sentence, right?
The governor ain't doing that shit.
But this is why, look, so this is why, in addition to all the things we advocate for, we need to push for them to add a third segment to Law and Order for those of us who only learn about the law through that show, where they have a pre-trial. It should be, the new intro should be, there's 3 parts to a, there's 3 parts, it's the police, and then it's the pre-trial, and then it's the trial, and inform folks more accurately. And then the other thing,
because I don't fuck with that Mariska Hargitay bitch.
Who? Oh, I'm my bad. I'm sorry.
Mariska Hargitay. She's one of the producers. She's also the star on the show.
Oh, I haven't watched the show in a long time. My bad. I was just talking shit. But the other thing was that whenever people bring up Rodney King, I can't help but think like they preemptively sacrificed Nicole Brown. By letting them cops off who beat up Rodney King. Because by doing that, that's how OJ got off.
That's right.
That's yeah. I mean, and thanks to what's my man that did the Made in America series on OJ, where you see the jurors. They had like at least 1 or 2 of them admit they were like, yeah, this was paid for Rodney King and shit. Like, oh man,
it was all Black Americans' response though, for the most part. You know what I mean?
I honestly don't remember it. All the Black folks who had something negative to say about that verdict, I think were pretty quiet for a long time. I don't remember hearing any. The Black critics of the verdict, I don't remember hearing any of them until later. Like initially, everybody seemed to be like, "No, this is a net positive."
I think most Black folks were like, well, I shouldn't say most. I think the positive reaction to OJ's verdict fell into 2 categories. One, I felt for Black folks, it was just they didn't get this black man, boom. And that was applaud, and didn't care what he did or if he did it or not or whatever.
Clearly,
but y'all didn't get this one. But 2, I think there was a small section who had a sort of an analysis of like, this is payback for Rodney King or whatever. So,
I mean,
someone in the chat also asked me, is there a law that says they can't do that about taking their body cameras off? Yes, they have to wear their body cameras the entire time they're on duty. And I finally I got the affidavit from when I was arrested, so I have the person's name. I'm gonna have somebody put in a FOIA for their body cam footage so they can see if they took it off, so I can get that nigga fired.
I do like that interview. Credit to Renee for this, for the Saturday's episode where we interviewed I forgot his name, who did the research on body cams, who did some research and showed that when you read the narrative initially surrounding body cams before Ferguson, they were all targeting, all of the promotion was to around how they aid the police in doing their job. None of it was around helping people in the community keep the police honest. It was about the police having this added, after the Mike Brown thing, the narrative changed to promote body cams as being something good for the community. So I hear your point, Kamal. I guess I don't know. I'm just
most
sort
folks
of
I know
stuck on
don't like the body cam because they one, it's like it's like whether or not it protects citizens or people is a question mark, and then two, folks are like, well, basically you're just giving more money to police, and so a lot of folks are just like, that's not a solution for safety anyway. And I think I go back to my criminal defense days of like, as a lawyer, I want as much evidence, particularly physical evidence, as possible, because I don't want to have to rely on the statements of the police to be the things that are the leading points of evidence for the prosecution's case, which again,
they be lying.
Yes. And then you can start seeing those patterns of like the lies, but whether or not, again, a judge is going to believe your client over the police, 9 times out of 10, that's a no. And so again, from the perspective of trying to either sue or criminal defense work, it's like, oh, this is real physical evidence here that at least, supposedly has less wiggle room for subjectivity, right? This is the thing. I mean, that's not how it plays out all the time, but the hope is that that's what it allows us that extra added, supposedly more objective evidence, not just, folks who are making up stories. Right? I mean, when I had cases pre-body cams, when I was practicing, particularly civil rights cases, and we would get the information and all the write-ins from the cops about what they said happened. They would have times wrong. They would have the places even slightly off. They would claim to be seeing things that seemed to be humanly impossible from where they were standing and where the supposed sort of objects were. And then they would claim movements and speculate around the person the suspicious look kind of shit. So you always want to have something else that gives you some added ability to sort of distinguish between you going up against what this cop's saying versus what some video shows you or whatever. So that's one of the reasons. That's one of my rationales for like, I'd rather have it than not. But I do understand that it is not some safe proof mechanism that helps you, all that kind of stuff,
But I do think it's helpful in some cases, like in the case like that I had or whatever. They said in the affidavit I was impeding an investigation and all this other shit. But I had a video of me literally filming them where I'm 10 feet away. I'm not even near them. There's no way I can impede an investigation. And that's an actual charge. So if I was impeding an investigation, then you should charge me with that. But you charged me with disorderly conduct. And I noticed that they do stuff like that a lot. They'll say things that sound very incriminating in the affidavits, but they can't charge you with that because they don't have the proof. And if anybody asks for proof or they take it to trial, it's over because they literally cannot prove that it happened. And I saw it happening when I was in both times I went to court. Like they were literally dropping cases left and right. And that's a big issue that our DA's office has, is that like our police are always overcharging people. They're always charging them with shit they can't prove. So the DA has to drop the case because they can't prove it. So now it looks like we're letting all these people off for things, but realistically, it's the police. The police are the problem. They're charging people for shit they can't prove, or they're just arresting them just because they have the power to arrest them, knowing that it won't turn into anything. And then all the blowback comes to the DA's office because our state legislature is saying, well, Memphis has all this crazy crime and they're not even prosecuting anybody. Whole time they can't prosecute nobody because they can't prove the shit.
Yeah. Well, I got a video real quick, like that's added to the cop stuff.
Go ahead.
Say it again.
Go ahead.
Well, let's call it a setup. I'm setting up for the video. It's like we do
I said go ahead. I was giving you permission.
Well, I don't know. Featuring come out. So this is in Paris. So this is an unarrest. So what I love is the reaction of the crowd in terms of when folks see the video. So these cops come rushing in to attempt to arrest somebody. Says, I think this is like their May Day or this is a pro-Palestinian march. And so the cops are trying to rush in, and then the unarrest that happens or whatever. So check this out. The cops rushing in, they're trying to grab one person, and it looks like they have them. And then all of a sudden, 2 more rushing in, pick on the kick. They got this one, someone jumps in front, They got the umbrellas out.
Oh, I love it. Oh, nice.
Oh, look, pelting.
And is he walking? He's leaving.
He's walking away.
Yeah, wall up. Line up.
Throwing stuff?
Wow.
And everyone gets home safe. At least this
Did he pick up an umbrella? What is that? Yeah, right on.
So that is the art of a de-arrest. And I know sometimes, and it happens here too, like people have you don't always get to de-arrest, but sometimes de-arrests are a really helpful skill sometimes. And I think the anarchists have done a great job of perfecting it. I remember a few years ago, more than a decade ago, with Ashante Austin and several of the Panthers, we were doing a march across the Brooklyn Bridge, and one of their homies got grabbed up, and the homies being a veteran Panther. And, like as a young organizer, my first thing was to look with wide eyes of like, oh, they about to arrest this dude. And then, old ass Ashanti, kind of boom. And then several other, everybody's like, oh, I'm jumping in too. So it's like, it takes that one to get everybody jump in. And basically we pulled brother off before he got into the car. And, we didn't have Ubers at the time, and it's probably a good thing. And then a taxi came by and ushered my man into a taxi, and they took off with them. And the cops didn't get to arrest nobody that day. So
that's a good point. You can't do that with an Uber.
You can't. You got to wait, right, for the Uber.
You got to log in and identify yourself and give your PIN and all that. You can't just hide and escape. And a cab is no name check. It's just
ready to go. That's what car marshals are for.
Mm-hmm. But it's like the number. I mean, the numbers always. Someone mentioned this. Like the numbers always matter. There's a lot of times in these demonstrations where, and again, I've seen the opposite happen too. And I've been in marches where it's been in the opposite, where the cops will just jump in because it's like 10 of them, and they're doing it so fast, and they have the equipment, and everybody's like just either shocked or scared, and they'll just grab one person out and lead them out. And people pull out phones, but they're not jumping in. But I think again, training from anarchists on how to handle. And I give them a lot of credit these days, because I think they do a lot of training on this. But how to try to handle kind of de-arrest and the rest of it is really important in today's environment, because otherwise, they're just trying to grab you up.
Well, during the march yesterday, we're walking, and a police helicopter flies over and starts making the announcement about stay off the street, trying to get everybody out of the street, and I told. Huh?
I would have said, fuck it.
No, and nobody listened, but I did tell the person I was standing next to, just FYI, if shit pops off, I'm out, and like with the attitude of de-arrest me. Like, don't, like I don't do willful arrests, no disrespect. I don't do, I was just like, I'm about to break out. And hobble my, because I said, look, I got a hobble. I was like, it's not gonna be, nobody's moving fast out here. Those fast twitch muscles they broke out a long time ago. I got a hobble as it is. I'm break out early. But de-arrest me. I was like, I'm all for that. Again, no disrespect, but no martyrship here. Like no martyrdom here. Like you see me, grab somebody. Don't just pull out your phone and be like, they got Jared. Fuck that.
Go down with you.
You know what I'm saying? What you mean they got Jared? Get over here and get him off Jared. You know what I'm saying? Shit. No,
de-arrest me.
I'm saying de-arrest me. I love it.
Help me. Baby, can you help me?
All of that.
And I think all the May Day, somebody brought up the thing about the permits. I think the one I went to yesterday too, like I think there was a lot of, and again, I'm not always opposed to a permit march, but I think the over reliance on them, like sometimes it's like, what, you don't need a permit for in fact, most folks should understand whether they care about the Constitution or not in that respect, but supposedly or allegedly, we have a constitutional right to protest, obviously without a permit. So the permits are not needed to protest at all. But sometimes people, like the one I went to yesterday, was obviously they took the street, but they took the street in a coordinated action to, with the permit or whatever. Which again, sometimes it's the point of the march is the march, and so whether or not you take the street or not may not always be the main point of it or whatever. But yeah.
I just want y'all to know that orange I was just eating was disgusting. And I'll be telling my mom about that later on. She made me get some oranges from her house yesterday. It was nasty. I'm just hungry, but it was nasty.
Sorry to hear that.
I had to complain about it.
I do think all the jokes about the folding chairs and bikes in the chat are hilarious. I'm not even going to lie.
Get you a foldable e-bike.
No. I should, but I literally thought about bringing my portable, the little stadium seats that I use for my daughter's soccer games. I was like, because your boy was struggling. I made it through. I made it, I made it up and back, but but I was struggling.
Because you too tall for this shit.
No, I did all the stretching I could do yesterday. I was as prepared as possible, but there's limits. It's limits. But I was like, man, if I'm out here for 5 more minutes, I need folding seats. Yeah. It's not even just the age, because salute, there were people much older than me out there. It's not just the age, it's the unfortunate some inherited conditions and again, folks, please, the younger you are, work on your core. And if you do lift weights, please leave your ego at the door and lift properly with the right support. Because I am literally suffering to this day because I was in there ego lifting and trying to put on shows and thinking
what's the worst? Like, not like a bench presses are relatively safe, right? But it's like,
I think all of them are bad. Like I learned years late that I was doing the bench press wrong, and I'm not entirely convinced that didn't have a role to play in my shoulder injury. I think, I know like deadlifts and squats and really everything. If you're doing standing curls and you don't have a little bit of a knee bend, or you're trying to lift too much, it's going to hurt your back. You're going to pinch something in your shoulder. Like, it's all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And now, because so many kids have access to legal and illegal hormones and steroids, the thing that people are forgetting is that even if you take these performance enhancing drugs, your joints don't benefit. So you may be able to lift more and recover faster in terms of some of your muscles, but your joints aren't benefiting from that. So your joints, so people are like tearing things, like ripping, they're so it's, so that I just wish I had worked on my core a long time ago. I wish I had stretched more. I wish I'd left my ego at the door. So I'm telling people all the time, I make it part of my lectures and classes now. Like when I see somebody who's an obvious athlete, I'm like, I know how it is. You young now, you feel like you could lift. I literally felt like I could lift the world. I'm about to lift this gym off the foundation. And it's a front. And then here I am later. It's like, and then if you look at the people who were my age who took steroids back in the day, they're all a mess.
Yeah.
I didn't even take anything. I never even took anything. But
what was the black bodybuilder who he started winning all those titles? And it is some Netflix documentary just showed him. I don't know if he just recently died, but he looked chewed up.
No, there's a couple of them, and I think I know who you're talking about. And the one I'm thinking of is
chewed up.
Ronnie Coleman. That's exactly right.
Some other language.
Ronnie Coleman is still alive, but he is very much a mess. And this is somebody who literally did lift the gym off the foundation, huh?
You can't say chewed up. Chewed up is not. It's inappropriate phrasing.
Chewed up. That's how I know you old.
No, chopped is the new one.
Chopped.
That's the one I've been taught. That
chewed up. Now, when you say somebody getting chewed up, what do you think?
Phrasing.
I don't know what you. I think about it as like they look they they look deformed because they don't look like what they used to look like because they were food.
Of Ronnie Coleman.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. He was. This is him back when he was winning, and then you could see him in his hospital gear here a little bit. You could see him; he struggles to walk now.
Yeah.
Why does he struggle to walk with all the steroids?
Because when you take steroids and he was like lifting, he's in wheelchairs and in hospital beds all the time. I forgot the numbers. I mean, he was setting records.
So we can see the picture better.
He was, I mean, he's squatting. Look at what he's squatting here. I mean, I don't even know what the math is on
it. Wheelchair. We're trying to see it.
Calm down, Amber.
I mean, really, take it easy. He's in a wheelchair. What is the detail? What is? He's a man in a wheelchair. The point is,
really cannot see. That's why I'm finna turn my camera off so I can come really close to the screen because you playing.
Just imagine a man in a wheelchair.
I need to see. I need to
compared to what they used to look like. Someone who looks different.
You want to see?
And it's all because of his. Yeah, it's all because of his.
Exactly. He went in the chat saying, "I feel you." Exactly. That might say, "Calm down." I need to see.
I don't even. Well, here's him struggling to get into a pool.
Oh, his legs do look real tiny. Real tiny.
Once you stop taking all the steroids, you can't maintain all the weight but look at these. I mean, look at what he's lifting here. This is crazy. This is crazy weight that he's messing with. Huh?
Is he poor now?
I don't know about his. I honestly don't know anything about his finances. I don't pretend to know much about him at all, but I'm just saying
it's how his legs used to look.
He never had the career, being a black bodybuilder compared to being an Arnold Schwarzenegger or some of those other white guys. Yeah. That was his whole career, was Mr. Universe and maybe selling product. Like weight gain products, muscle gain products.
They said in the chat he doing very well financially. Period. Y'all better know how much y'all man make.
I mean, congratulations, but you can't.
Yeah, if you spend it all on hospital bills,
I just want to say, Yipper, I am not thirsty. I literally cannot see. I have contacts in. I don't know if y'all know that, but this screen is very tiny. What y'all are seeing is what I see. That's very small. Can't see it. That's all I'm saying.
And I don't know if he was a cop at one. I don't know. Again, I don't know anything about these folks like that.
Learner. I just want to add that in there. I'm a visual learner. I need to see to create a full picture in my head.
Somebody said he was the greatest bodybuilder. But I believe. Like I remember even as somebody who never followed the sport.
He was a cop, and they said he goes to Mexico for stem cell treatment.
His name, when he started winning all those Mr. Universe titles or whatever, and they kept it eked into mainstream culture. Again, not in the sense of an Arnold Schwarzenegger, but sort of by a comparison. And then, if it's a black athlete of some kind, then you start reading at least a little bit about him, be like, oh, this dude has done all that stuff. But again, to see him now was just like incredibly sad or whatever. So,
according to someone in the chat said, according to Coleman, he didn't take illegal steroids. He's ill due to extreme weights, multiple hip surgeries, and disc damages. So he took steroids, but he didn't take illegal ones, allegedly.
Again, the point about the extreme weight is that you can't do the extreme weight without steroids. That's why but your muscles may react a certain way, but your joints aren't. Mm-hmm. And then, and at a certain point, your body is still. And then what I'm also learning a lot, over the last few years is that your back don't give a fuck whether you're fat or whether it's muscles. If you have too much weight, your back doesn't care. Your back just wants you to be light. It doesn't matter. So
my back hurt every day from carrying all this ass around every day.
And so people who carry, so there are people who are even, there are people, they're like, and people at the height of their competing, they're like 5, 6, 8% body fat. So they're like, they're almost
normal amount that you're supposed to have.
A man should be at least 15, if not a little bit more. Like 10 single digit body fat is borderline unhealthy. But that's how you get all the veins and how you see every little cut and every little, when they're trying to show themselves, they're trying to show, like, it's very, and you listen to the judges talk, they're looking for like very specific. So like they need to see everything. So like, so anyway, and so even if you're even if you have no body fat, or even if you have an appropriate amount of body fat, but you have all this muscle, your back is still like, I don't care, son. I don't care. It's too much. So was I wrong on that? Well, BMI is not. Wait, BMI and body fat are not the same thing, and BMI is not. At the level that these folks deal with, it's not scientific enough. They have like very specific body fat measurements things, and there's even arguments I've learned lately about what technique and machine even is best for body fat measurements. It's the BMI is kind of like a loose sort of, yeah. But
I agree with James. They are like near death in competition. They like push their body to the brink.
Yeah.
The cutting and stuff, and then immediately they gotta like eat.
Yeah, the bodybuilders are not healthy, and one of the fitness people that I do follow, that's one of his points, and he's someone who used to abuse steroids, has won competitions, and he talks about that, and he's that's one of his things. He's like, these are not role models. Like when you're looking at when you're thinking about health, that's why a lot of them are dying very young. Their hearts can't handle it. That's the other thing. The heart and the back don't give a fuck. That's what I meant to say. Mm-hmm. The heart really doesn't care if you're muscular or fat. It just wants you to be smaller and lighter. In fact, one of the issues that I have, quite honestly, is that I've learned about, like, there's a thing called the vagus nerve, and that apparently not Vegas is in Vegas. It's spelled slightly different. It's not where you hang out. I think it's spelled differently too. But the point is that it regulates something about it. Regulates your heart rate and adjusts itself based on what it thinks you need, based on essentially how fat you are. Yeah. So I was even told that having lost a little bit of weight, the vagus nerve will at times overcompensate, not really understanding what the situation is, and it starts making you think you're about to pass out.
Yeah, so it's do, like weight loss surgery and stuff that can happen. I'm like a lot of weight loss. I think that it's just not the healthiest. I be real.
No, it's not.
Real
rapid weight loss is
rapid
not
weight
healthy.
Loss just feels. But speaking of weight, Ricky said that we should talk about the plight of thickness, and I do think we should, because my back be hurting every other day. That's why I took up
the plight of thickness.
The plight, it's hard carrying all this ass around, and so I say, if you're like me, you should take up yoga. I think that definitely helps to balance you out a little bit, but it is hard. It's definitely my waistline to ass ratio go crazy, and it's not as easy as it looks. I'm getting emotional.
I've heard women with large breasts say the same thing. It's a lot. It's a lot to walk around with on a daily basis.
Yeah, I actually considered getting a breast reduction when I was younger. Before I lost weight, a few years ago and lost a lot of my boobs. And honestly, I'm so glad, because it was hurting my back. Like, I would have like indentions in my shoulders from bras. They were so uncomfortable, and I was like, I think people don't realize how it's just annoying, and also hurt. My back will feel so much better at the top now, like my shoulders, because it was just way too much. Like, people who I know who have like H cups and G cups are like, why don't y'all just get a reduction? At some point, when it's a certain size, your insurance will actually pay for it if you have health insurance, because it's just not realistic. Like, as you get older, your body can't take it. Like, your body just can't handle it. And I think if I didn't lose weight, I would have gotten a reduction, because it was just way too much. And I hate it. I have permanent like indentions on my shoulders. They never went away. Like, they're literally lines still there from just wearing bras. And I was like, this is just not fair for me. Like, I'm in pain. My mom never got a reduction though. My nana did get a reduction, and you can see a big difference. She said that she's able to do so much more stuff because it was just a lot. Women really be going through a lot. And for what? The male gaze? Ugh.
I mean, it is true. The 15-year-old in me is like, no, when I hear reduction. It's like, no. But I get it. I mean, I get it, especially now with my relatively light, pun intended, issues. Is I can't. I'm like, yeah, you're right. The male gaze is not worth it.
And if I hadn't lost weight, I would not have been comfortable running because they don't make good like sports bras for people with big boobs. And I run in the mornings, and I would not be comfortable doing that if I wasn't like a smaller size, because the sports bras they make are trash. Like the best ones I've gotten are like from Old Navy, like places you wouldn't even think who sell sports clothes, like the actual sports places, like your Nikes and all of them. The bras are trash.
Seriously, in 2025, we're still behind on bra technology. We can't get like sports bra, like military grade sports bras.
They're like really good. They have like these straps, and then like you pull them up, but that's uncomfortable. Like it's like digging into your shoulders. Why would I want to wear that to run?
Yeah, all that sounds terrible.
I don't do that. It's really terrible. I say y'all hate women, but one thing y'all will do, y'all will make something good to advertise to men every single time. But women, we always getting the short end of the stick. It's trash.
I don't disagree with that.
Why are you sucking your teeth?
He's like the elder Van Peebles in Boomerang. He said, you know how I know it's we talk about nipples? Because I'm drooling. Amber's too young for that reference. Somebody out there will get me on that one. That's,
I just think that we should talk more about how women be suffering.
Men suffer too. I'm trying to think of how we
I'm really stopped my nod. I got caught nodding too far. I was nodding with Amber, and then Kamal jumped in there with the men suffer too, and I didn't stop fast enough. I want to emphatically separate the head nod from that.
I was trying to figure out
when they go bald sometimes, but you still got hair, so you just got a big forehead. You ain't even suffering.
Who you talking, me or him?
You got hair. I lost mine. You really got no right to. You got no,
but let me see.
No, first of all, you fit. You got your hair.
Exactly, Stephen. I retract my nod. Stop the
nod. Like you're winning right now. You know how many niggas who beards won't connect?
At what age though? I mean, past 21, it should connect.
Nah.
I should didn't connect when I was like 16. Right,
Amber's dating these children.
Wait. Now the ones I date, they
young men. My bad. Take it easy. My bad.
The one I'm dating ain't got no patches, but I know people who got patches. This is the guy I went to college with. We best friends. We became best friends in college. He always had patches. Always had patches on his face. He's never had a full beard.
Really?
That nigga almost 38. Damn. Almost damn near 40. Never had a beard.
Oh, really? Asian cats don't have their beards don't connect always? Oh, I didn't know that. I got this.
Asians
we doing Asian hate. We
doing Asian hate. He said, Steven said, I'm Asian, Kamal. Pump your brakes on connecting beards.
Oh, wow.
I didn't realize. I didn't know that. I grew hair early, but it was like teenage years. It was like the wolf thing, though. It was like the pork chops, they used to call them, whatever. But it never connected. Stopped here, the beard started, and then this didn't connect, and that didn't connect. And then I was not a groomer of the hair at my early, so it was like whatever grew. In high school age, probably I didn't really date much or whatever, but it wasn't until later that everything, like it was like in my 20s, and it was like then it started to connect. But those teen years were like rough.
I'm very happy we didn't have pictures back then.
Didn't have what?
Sorry. You didn't have what kind?
Oh, I'm saying I'm very happy we didn't take pictures back then like we do today, or at least I didn't, because
you didn't. You don't have pictures of you when you're young.
And I'm happy to not have many, because kind of like what Kamal was saying, I didn't approach grooming until like how long have I been married? Like a week before marriage. Like,
how did you fool her?
She's asking that same question literally right now as we speak. She's asking that exact same question. But all I could say is by the time she figured it out, it was too late. She already done fell in love and committed.
It's over.
It was too late. But no, it was. No, she will say she cleaned me up. She made me presentable to the extent that you see a presentable man before you.
I can believe that.
I was one of those. I would groom and come out looking exactly the same. So it was like there would be no difference really, but I thought there was some significant difference.
Have you always had the baby fro beard combo going?
No, I used to have the full fro. Like I had the fro in the 80s when no one was like now you could just wear anything. But when I had my fro, it was a little after when you're supposed to still have your fro, but I just had my fro. So, and it wasn't, and so, no, I was never a great groomer
but you didn't have the beard, you just had a fro?
I had the fro, and then I had the pork chops where it had the sideburns that came down to here and they didn't connect. That lasted until, it was a mess. I had my braces. I think 18 to 23 was like, 15 to 23. When people talk about your awkward years, I mean, I had like a decade of awkward.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Mine was an extent I had a decade into my 50s. Hey, I don't know where he is right now, but salute to Mark Rogers. This brother, he, as an act of goodwill back when I was 15, said, I need to take you to a better barbershop. and salute to him. So for a minute there, like I did, Mark Rogers, to this day, I don't know what happened to the dude, but salute wherever you are in the world. I hope all good has happened to you. Because at 15, it was like an act of kind. He was like, bro, ride with me real quick. it was like the barbers saw me come in and everybody was like, oh no, come on, no, sit down, please.
Let's clean this up. Let us help you.
Let us
help me help you.
Kamal, did you have the 70s style haircut thing in the 80s?
Yes, I had my fro. I was born in 67, so I had my fros from, once it grew. See, I remember the fro wait a minute though. Two quick things. One, in the South, my uncle, right? My Uncle James, who's still around today. There's the pick comb, and then they did from the back to the front. So all your hair was sitting up here, but they started back here.
Yeah.
And it was, so I was like, get the, And then two, here's my sob story. This is my sob story. The fatherless child, there was no male presence in the house. My mama didn't, she was doing her thing, but there was nobody guiding me towards the proper, the proper look or whatever. And I just didn't, I was a lazy kid when it came to that stuff. So
do you think that white man could have guided you to the proper look?
Probably not. It would have been worse.
But economic condition, though, there are the rare exceptions where the white parent has some awareness of their limitations and will, they'll find the right help. Yeah. They'll find the right support network. It didn't happen for me, but I'm just saying, I was much like with Kamal. I was like trying to. Yeah, my mother.
Oh, your mama white. You got a white mama.
Yeah.
That's right.
But similarly, she was incapable for whatever reasons of properly addressing this issue. So I was like,
I'm glad you didn't end up one of them trifling white mamas, because it's a mix. It's like the white mamas who know their child black and the white mamas who cooning and want their child to be white.
Oh no, absolutely. And I the most part,
how pro-black your mama was. I said, I know that's right.
Look, I don't like to overdo it, and I don't like to, but as much as a white woman could be supportive of Black liberation, I think that's where she was. And would be if she knew where, if the Alzheimer's hadn't fucked her head up, and she would, she would remember where, but that's a fucked up disease, by the way. But
one of my friends posted about it yesterday because he sent his godparents some food on DoorDash, and he called him. He was like, "Hey, did y'all get the food I sent?" And they said, "Yeah." He went by to check on them 3 weeks later. The food outside, sitting right outside the door. They never ate it.
Yeah, it can get pretty bad. But yeah. But anyway, it would, that is when I have my little regrets or have my negative feelings about my father, that's the first place I go, because I had to figure out all the grooming shit on my own. It was like before we get to more serious issues.
My favorite era of men today is black men after they turn 35. After they turn 35, it'd be like a glow up. They'd be so fucking fine. In 35 and up. Before that, I feel like they'd be kind of figuring out. They'd be struggling a little bit.
I think that's after 35, I think by 35, I started to figure out how to groom myself appropriately.
Yeah. Right now I'm dating a 35-year-old, a 38-year-old, and another 35-year-old. And I can see the clear difference from when I dated 30-year-olds and 35 and up. It's a clear difference.
Oh, damn, folks. I got to go to a meeting. My bad. Yeah, I forgot what time it was. I actually have a meeting.
The conversation was getting good. You was finna jump all your childhood trauma.
So this is the perfect time for me to get out of here before I do too much. Anything, folks, please come back for Saturdays with Renee. And I think I'm not entirely sure what's happening later tonight. So make sure is Darker Than Blue going to be on, but please make sure you have the bell rung so you don't have to rely on my memory or your own, and you just get alerts. Anybody else? Anything you want to?
We'll close it down. You can go ahead, Jared.
Yeah. Oh, my bad. No, my bad.
No,
I thought Kamal went.
I gotta go.
Damn, Kamal, what you doing this weekend? That's how we end. No.
Real quick, we got the Build and Resist conference or Resist and Build conference here in Atlanta. I'm going to be at that. There's a book. Next week I'll build up the book. We got No Cop City, No Cop Nation. That me and two comrades, the editors, are talking more about that. I think I brought that up the other day.
And I forgot to ask about the review copies. What's up with the review?
I'm gonna get you your copy.
Let me get that PDF real quick.
I don't even got my copy. I don't even know.
I'll buy the book, but I want that PDF though.
I get it. And in fact, I definitely know how to get it. I'll make that happen. The conference, we sold well over 300 tickets. So please, conference.
Can Steven just show up, or do they need to register?
I don't know. I would just come on out, man. Come on out. If you're in Atlanta, come on out.
Yeah.
Come on out.
All right.
Don't worry about it.
Amber, anything? My bad. Go ahead, come out. My bad.
I'm done.
One, for Priestess, I'm not poly. I'm just dating people because I'm single, and that's what single people do. Two, I did not have just for me growing up. I did get a perm. No, I don't know if it was just for me, but I stopped getting perms in like middle school and started doing my own hair. Three, this weekend I'm going to the River Beat Music Festival here in Memphis. I'm going to see Missy Elliott tonight and Ludacris. Can't wait. Then I'm going to see Anderson .Paak on Sunday. Also can't wait. And Benson Boone. So I'm really hype about that. I am going to the music festival with two different niggas. I'm going with one today and a different nigga on Sunday.
God damn, no.
In my defense, I couldn't go with the same guy because he got to work on Sunday. I would have went with the same person. I'm being real. But yeah, that's all I'm doing this weekend. I'm going to the music festival. So glad that I healed up in time. Because if I was sick, I was going to be depressed if I could not go to this music festival. I love Ludacris and Anderson .Paak real bad. Yeah, that's all I'm doing.
All right. Well, thanks, everybody. Please do like, share, subscribe, support the Patreon, blackliberationmedia.org. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Peace, only if you're willing to fight for it, like Fred Hampton used to say, and see you next week for more Remix Mornings.
Remix. 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 Remix.